Bacteria and viruses are traveling the world on highways in the skies. Now remember this from what happened this past February, and these are images of what regularly happen, for example, from the sandstorms coming from the Sahara Desert, sweeping over the Mediterranean Sea and over Europe, as you can see from the satellite images. This one was from last April of 2019, and the other satellite image from NOAA, the latest sandstorm coming from the Sahara Desert, crossing the Atlantic Ocean, coming into the Caribbean and into over the areas of southeastern United States. And this does not just bring in dust, it brings in nutrients from the sand, from the desert, as well as bacteria and viruses. Now, microbes are, this is from The Conversation by Predrag Slijepcevic, from Senior Lecturer in Biology, Brunel University in London. This is Creative Commons. And he says, microbes are the truly dominant group of life form. These invisible pieces, we're talking about bacteria and viruses, these are the microbes. The invisible pieces of biogenetic matter have been running Earth's affairs for billions of years. Plants and animals popped up as the byproducts of microbial mergers relatively recently in our planet's history. Understanding microbes is not easy. It took us some time to learn about the existence of the human microbiome, the collection of viruses, bacteria, and fungi inside and outside our bodies that connects us to the rest of the microbial cloud that exists everywhere life can survive. We're now learning that there is even a microbiome high in the sky. These are microbes that are swept into and then reside in the lower parts of our atmosphere. This includes the mid and upper troposphere at altitudes between 8 kilometers and 12 kilometers above the ground, and the low stratosphere at altitudes of up to 15 kilometers. And what's more, by joining the planetary wind systems, these life forms create microbial highways in the sky that transport them all across the world. Scientists first reported the existence of skybound bacteria in a couple of pioneering studies published in 2013 and 18. These were not isolated microorganisms found by chance. Instead, bacterial communities straddle the sky in large numbers, in the region of hundreds of thousands of bacteria for each cubic meter of air in the troposphere. Between 60 and 100% of the bacteria in collected samples were alive, and they typically lived in the sky for longer than 5 days. So they live in the skies for longer than 5 days. Can you imagine? Analyzing their genetic material confirmed the presence of dozens of different bacterial species, but the tropospheric bacterial communities were less complex than some of Earth's terrestrial habitats. And then you can imagine how freezing the temperature is up that high up in our atmosphere and even the stratosphere. Now, bacteria are not the only tiny life forms in the sky. We now know this microbiome includes viruses and even fungi. The lower atmosphere appears to be alive and teeming with microbes. These microbes are well adjusted to their new environment. Only bacteria that already have mechanisms for coping with ultraviolet radiation, lack of water, and high levels of dangerous oxidants such as ozone survive the journey into the sky, where they feed on the carbon compounds available in the atmosphere. Given this harsh environment, researching bacterial behavior in the sky may be useful for understanding microbial survival in space. Bacteria also actively grow in clouds and play an important role in the process behind the Earth's atmospheric chemistry. For example, some airborne bacteria encourage water in the air to freeze. This may occur in a similar way to how some plant bacteria use specialist proteins to enable ice to form on and damage leaves, opening a way for the bacteria to infect them. The airborne bacteria and the ice particles that some of them can carry can even become the nuclei needed to form clouds. Now, what about disease roots? What are the roots of diseases in these highways in the sky? Understanding the atmospheric microbiome and its highways in the sky could also help us learn how disease-causing microbes are transported around the planet. In a recent study, scientists found viruses falling from the sky in large numbers, like invisible snowflakes covering the Sierra Nevada mountains in Spain, where viral detectors were placed. Thanks to the microbial highways in the sky, genetically identical viruses may be found at different and distant locations across our planet. This kind of route might be responsible for the spread of mysterious Kawasaki disease, which can cause heart problems in children, but whose exact cause is unknown. A group of Japanese scientists has produced evidence that it may be due to a fungal toxin carried through the sky over long distances from China to Japan. Analysis of air samples over Japan during the time of year when Kawasaki disease is most commonly found that the most dominant microbial species was the fungus Candida. Laboratory experiments have shown this fungus can produce Kawasaki-like conditions in mice. Now the whole world is watching the saga of COVID-19 pandemic. We know the virus spreads through human contact, but a group of doctors has recently warned the World Health Organization that the viral particle may be traveling through the air. Some scientists have even speculated that COVID-19 virus may have been carried between countries at similar latitudes by a jet stream through the atmosphere. As we've only just now begun to understand the role of microbes down here on Earth, it seems likely there's a huge amount more to be discovered about those that live above our heads, in the sky that is. This is on The Conversation by Predrag Slijepkevich, Senior Lecturer Biology, Brunel University, London, and this is Creative Commons. Please leave your comments below, and thank you for your support. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.